Sometimes it feels like the sun will never rise, like the birds will never sing again. Believe in a power greater than what you are going through. When you don't know what to do, keep breathing.
That's right. When you don't know what to do, just keep on breathing. From beautiful Los Angeles, the city of angels, and from the Big Apple in I was going to say Las Vegas. The Big Apple in New York City. I don't know where I am today. Welcome to all my listeners out there in Radio Land. I'm Dave, the Caregiver's Caregiver, at caregiverdave.com, along with my lovely co-host, Adrian Gruberg of the caregiverspace.org. And we're coming to you live and on demand 24/7 on numerous syndicated radio and podcast networks on 26 global audio and video platforms, including syndicated radio, iHeart Radio, iTunes, YouTube, Spreaker, SoundCloud, Vimeo, Stitcher Radio, Blog Talk Radio. Oh, God, the list goes on and on. In fact, we're proud to be voted #1 caregiver podcast of the top 50 on Player FM, and #2 podcast on FeedSpot out of the top 60, and #2 podcast on Caring Village out of thousands. And we have an especially exciting show planned for you today, don't we, Adrian?
Yes, we do.
Keyonna Cox, modern-day Renaissance woman who is loved by Jesus. She's a mother, an entrepreneur, an author, a producer, an architect, an influencer, an innovator, a strategist, a solutionist, a disruptor, and a bridge.
Wow.
Who is interesting, unapologetic, transparent, diverse, fun, energetic, stunning, a lover of people, resilient, a force to be reckoned with, and a voice for the mentally, physically, and spiritually oppressed, the lonely, the forgotten, the hurt, the disenfranchised, the hopeless, the poor, the outcast, the displaced, the imprisoned, the misconceived, and the sick, to assist them in viewing life through a different lens by way of books, digital media, entertainment, fashion, arts, technology, products, education, and other necessary resources. In other words, she's an overachiever. I feel like I'm reading from the Amplified Bible with all those plethora of extra adjectives. But before we get started, I want to take this moment to thank my last week's guest who spoke out the mystery behind Robin Williams' fight against Lewy body dementia, Dr. Russell Lebowitz. And that show, as all our shows, are available on our free membership website, caregiverdave.com, and globally on numerous platforms. But if you go to caregiverdave.com, you not only get them all in one place for your convenience, but we have 3 free gifts for you, as well as an introductory coaching session by yours truly. All right, enough of that. Keyonna, is it? Am I pronouncing it correctly? There's so many ways to say it.
No, Keyonna.
Keyonna.
Yes, Keyonna.
Welcome to the show. And we're so excited to have you on. And I always like to ask my guests, just who is Keyonna Cox and why were you placed on this earth? And just lean into your microphone and speak as loud as you can.
Keyonna Cox. Well, you said it. It was in my bio. I am a child of God. I'm loved by Jesus. I'm a mother, an entrepreneur, an ambassador, and an investor of people. And in my bio also, with the disenfranchised, the lonely, the poor, I've just been the bridge for years. I didn't know what exactly I was here for, the purpose initially when I started in the entertainment industry and fashion industry some years ago. But I didn't. Shortly after that, I did discover that's what I've been. I've been a bridge to people in different situations and circumstances.
A bridge over troubled waters?
Yes. Yeah, I've always been the go-to person to connect. I'm a connector as well too. So whenever I meet people or whenever someone is going through something, if I'm not able to assist them, it's who do I know who I can connect where they can benefit from one another. I'm a reciprocity.
Somehow I think you are also called the boss lady. I don't know. It just came to me.
I've heard that.
What was your upbringing like? I mean, when did you know who you were? You didn't always know who you were, right?
No, my grandmother would say 12 because I was raised by my grandmother. My mom was murdered when I was 2, and
Oh,
I was
no.
raised by, and I didn't meet my dad until I was 16. So I was raised by my mom's mom, my grandmother, and she would tell you 12 years young is when she raised herself, is what she
Wow.
would say. So yeah,
So
it
the
was
odds were stacked against you, weren't they? Life threw you a curveball, but somehow you managed to hit it out of the park.
yeah, by the grace of God. I couldn't do it alone. I mean,
Amen.
it's so much that's happened. That's why my book is Unpacked Baggage, Getting to Know Keyonna Cox from A to Z, all the 26 letters of the alphabet, facts that I unpacked that I didn't even know that I had. So yeah.
Wait a minute. Are you a rapper? I mean, I see a lot of talent here with words and rhyming and syllables. What'd you say, Adrian?
I didn't say anything. I
Oh, I heard
laughed.
something.
No, I'm not a
Wow.
rapper. I do like rap music. I like actually like all different genres of music.
No, you're very good with words. That's why I said that.
Oh, thank you. Not
So,
always either. See?
now, when and why did you decide to unpack your own baggage, whatever that means?
Okay. So 2011, I had multiple deaths in the family. Um, a really close friend of mine, then my youngest son's father passed away, then my grandmother and my dad, which was his mother, they passed away in the same year. I
Oh,
had a fashion school I mean, that is a whole nother conversation, but it was like everything down spiraled at one time. And I was like, what is going on? I need to get out of California. So I left and went to Atlanta for about 5 months.
you mean all that
That was,
happened in California? All those
it
deaths
all
and stuff?
happened in California. And
I was
that's
going
why
to
I said,
ask you, do you live in Chicago or something? My
no,
gosh.
that was all in California. And I was like,
What
I have to
city in
get out of
California?
Los Angeles,
Where in Los Angeles?
Valencia, California. So by
Valencia?
Magic Mountain. Yes.
My gosh, that's one of the safest neighborhoods in the country.
I know,
I
but
live in Valencia.
yeah, it all happened outside though. Like my
Uh,
family was in the Bay Area, so most of that happened with them. Actually, all of them passed away in the Bay Area, the 4 of
you
them.
know what? I don't think there's any place safe in this country anymore. I don't know what's going on, but I just turn off the news because it's too depressing.
So
Um,
do I.
yeah, I read the good news.
Yes, me too.
So,
Me
what
too.
are some experiences that you've had with your own family, besides all the deaths and stuff, family members, friends, so-called friends? Be a little more specific as to, let's get a flavor of to what your life was really like and what helped form the Keyonna that is standing before us today, sitting before us.
So I have two siblings on my mom's side. They're twins. And so I was the loner child because twins stick together.
I
So
know, yeah.
that was a lot of discovery with them as well. We have different fathers and different last names too. So I was like this.
Wow.
I guess I was the Cinderella, the Cinderella of the
The
siblings. And so
stepchild, yes.
yeah, it was like it just that really. I would say that really had an impact, which I didn't know until I started unpacking this baggage about 10 years ago,
Uh-huh.
of all this emotional, the death of my mom and not knowing exactly what happened and meeting the guy who murdered her, who's still
Wow.
incarcerated. So yeah, it was just a series of
You
things when
met
I
him?
came.
You went to prison and met him?
Well, they had a hearing, and there was a parole hearing to
Ah,
decide whether he would get out or not. And I was the only family member who hadn't gone. But because I was there at 2 years old when it happened, some people remember at 2. I don't remember, and I thank God that I don't remember because that could have been very traumatic.
sure.
Um, and so we had to sit in like a room with him, a very small room, for about 8 hours of him explaining exactly what he did and why he
Eight
did it.
hours?
Yeah. We had some breaks in
That's
between.
a lot of splaining.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
We had some breaks in between. And then they had each one, like my sisters went and talked
So he's
and
trying to convince you why he's been rehabilitated and deserves to be let free, right? How long was he in for?
oh, it's been over 30 years. 35, 30. It's been 37, 8 years and
Does
he's
this
still in there.
happen every so often?
Yes, every so often they do an analysis or an assessment, of exactly where they are mentally. So different tests. And they
So
actually
is he
said
still
that
there?
he's still there.
Okay,
He's
which
still
is
there.
fine with you, right?
Well, you know what? I went last as far as speaking with the siblings because it was just my two sisters and me. And one of the last things he said that he regrets it every day because it was someone she knew. It wasn't a random
Oh
person.
my.
And so they asked him, he said he hoped that one day the family could forgive him because he thinks about it every day. It was terrible. And actually, that was really all that when I went up there, what I said. I actually forgave him that day,
Well, you
which
have to.
one of my siblings wasn't really happy with that.
Really.
Yeah, she was,
You know,
no.
unforgiveness is like drinking poison and hoping the other person will die. It will kill you. It will eat you alive. Cancer, ulcers.
Yeah,
It's a poison that needs to come out.
yes. So,
Did you
so
ever
yeah.
did you ever figure out why this man who knew your mother did it, or are you still a mystery? Didn't you ask him?
So there's two stories. We couldn't speak to him directly. So there were actually two stories with my grandmother, my dad's mom, who that was an associate of my dad's. And my grandmother said that it was a get back at my dad. He was jealous of him. So I'm going to get you back by doing something to her. He had a different story as to why he did it. But according to him, his was more of a snapped situation because of his upbringing and what happened. And she was very vulnerable, according to her friends and other people who knew her. So here it is. It was just a snapped. And even when they did the assessment on him, a mental assessment, they said that he would rape a person before he would kill another person. He had no priors or anything like that. He did say his mother was abusive. He wasn't the most attractive growing up, so he didn't have any girlfriends.
Yeah.
His next door neighbor came and gave his sister some paint when she was 7. He was 7, and she drank it, and she died, and he never told anybody about that. So yeah, it was just very traumatic. And so my book number 4 is Why People Do What They Do, because I was really interested to know what happened with him growing up. Because I don't just think people are crazy.
So
Something
obviously he's
is wrong.
mentally ill, and
Yes.
anyone who's mentally ill, there's a reason they're mentally ill. Is it heredity, or is it definitely your upbringing and your environment, or is it a 50-50?
So yeah, different cases for different people. Different strokes for different folks. Yeah. Oh, there's my rap again. So,
So
so
why do you do what you do? Why do I do? Why do we do what we do? Have you
well, see
figured that
that's
out yet?
yeah. I figured that it's not a formula because why you do what you do is not why I do what I do. Because you mentioned the upbringing and the environments, and also too we have to take into consideration people's experiences too, and that helps to shape and mold where people are currently. And I have encountered closely with tens of thousands of people and talking to them. And that's why my book number 4, Why People Do What They Do, these are different conversations that I've had with people as to why they did what they did. But it's 27 different topics. Why do people do what they do? So again, yours could be different. Similar results, but what's the cause and effect? We learned that in elementary school. What's the root?
Yeah.
People are trying to solve the effect instead of getting to the cause and the root.
Adrienne has traveled all over the world in her prior days. Adrienne, have you noticed in different countries, because you've been to Africa, you've been to many different places and cultures, is violence as prevalent in those places as it is here in America?
No, I don't think so. It's funny, but in Africa, people are very litigious. Instead of striking out at somebody or killing somebody, they'll
Uh-huh.
sue them, take them to court. They enjoy it. It's revenge.
Yeah, nothing sweeter than revenge.
You asked.
I asked and I got it. Well, listen, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back. Don't go away. We are a community of caregivers that understands and supports you wherever you are in your journey. We are a place to connect with other caregivers, but more importantly, a place to get practical, actionable help. There are lots of ways for you to get support. First of all, you can download our welcome pack. This will get you started on your Thrive journey. Next, you can ask and get answers to your questions by posting them here in our private Facebook groups. You can also get live online support by attending one of our live weekly Connect webinars. You can get practical, actionable advice by listening to our weekly podcast. You can hear and read other stories about other caregivers' experiences. Plus, add your own in our weekly Share Your Story forum, posted every Tuesday in the Facebook group. You can access essential resources and download practical Thrive Solutions packs, all of which are geared to help you thrive as a caregiver. You get lifetime access to all of our resources. Again, we're here to support you and help you thrive and to enjoy your life as a caregiver. And remember, this is a place to get hope, not just cope. And we're back on the Caregiver Dave Show with our guest Keyonna Cox and my lovely co-host Adrienne Gruberg. And we're talking about why we do what we do with this wonderful woman who's an author, an entrepreneur, and she's just a whole bunch of stuff. Did you become all this stuff like overnight, or did it slowly, one by one? How did it all start?
I would say teenager. I've been a visionary. The fashion and entertainment industries, I knew that was a given. I was so consumed with movies and music and fashion, although I went to Catholic school. My grandmother had us in Catholic school, but she would take us shopping all the time. So she has contributed to my fashion. I don't want to call it addiction because I'm not addicted, but my passion for fashion. Oh, there's another rhyme.
Oh, my God. And you have an attitude of gratitude.
I do. I really do. I really do. It's interesting.
So what are you currently working on now? What are you doing now?
So currently, my book will be released soon. The date has been pushed. Unpacked Baggage, Getting to Know Keyonna Cox from A to Z. All the 26 letters of the alphabet. I had bags I unpacked over 10 years.
And why would somebody want to know all of Keyonna Cox's unpacked baggage? What's in it for them?
What's in it for them? Well, I would have people come up to me and tell me that I've never gone through anything. You don't know what I'm going through. Or I would have people just randomly come up to me and ask me, what do you do? They wouldn't even ask my name. What do you do? And I just really got tired of explaining because it's not 5 minutes. What do you want to know? Sure. So I'm like, let me do this book. And I would have people tell me, you need to write a book. You need to do a movie on your life. And I said, no, it would have to be a TV series because 2 hours is not enough for what I've gone through. And not to glorify it or to brag or boast about it, because if I had enemies, which I don't, I would not wish the experiences on any of them. So it's really to help people, and especially now during this time, to let people know that you're not alone, because when we go through things, we think it's just us. Nobody understands. Woe is me. Yeah, like so. It really.
So
and this
nobody knows the trouble.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And growing up as a very private person, it was just something that I would never have done. But I love people and understanding its purpose behind it. I went through these things, or I was allowed to go through these things to help other people who are currently in that situation. So it's really of a support.
Yeah, I can totally relate. I'm a caregiver, and always people want to know my story. And so I finally wrote my book, One Arm, One Leg, 100 Words, Overcoming Unbelievable Hardships. I just say, read the book, and you'll know my story. We can talk from there. And then I've been in the gas station business for 45 years. And they say, well, what's it like being in the gas station business? Should I get regular or premium? I mean, should I, check my oil every time? And it's fine. I wrote a book, Getting Hosed, Secret Confessions of a Gas Station Owner. I says, read the book. It's like,
yeah, because that story behind it. So
right.
yeah, that's the book.
And I'm so grateful I did, because we're leaving legacies for those behind. Because one day people are going to wake up. I'm going to be gone. And you're going to be gone, and what's going to be left? Well, that book. And you talk about a movie. They're doing a movie on my life. I thought it was going to be a reality series, because it's true. There's so much. But they just decided to start with the editing, because COVID and all that stuff and this and that. So grateful for that. And Adrienne, she keeps saying she doesn't want to write a book, because everybody has written a book, and who would read her book? But she has a story that needs to be told. And I don't know how you're going to tell it, Adrienne. I know she's journaling it. Are you still journaling?
I've journaled it.
That was past tense. You mean your whole story is journaled? It's over?
No.
Okay.
It becomes a memoir after the journaling point.
Well, we're going to have to get you a presidential library, like the presidents do, to store all of your memoirs and store all of the stuff in your huge loft there in Manhattan that you just sold and is in storage.
All my artwork. Yeah. I mean, that was something about the Carter Library. It was all seeing. It was the Rosalind Carter Library, but all Jewish paintings were up. It's very sweet.
So I still encourage you to write a book. Why should Adrienne write a book, Keyonna?
People need to hear your story. We have unique experiences, and it can relate to someone you've overcome that, and they need that, especially now with COVID and all that's going on in this world right now. People are looking for hope.
Well, I'm just looking for the right angle. It needs to help specific people. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you can hire somebody to help you with that.
Considering this, Dave, I want you to
she's considering it. That's a huge move. Great. I like to think that I had a part in helping her make that decision. Well, let's talk about how to never be disappointed in people again. Caregivers are always, gosh, how do you say it? I have to be polite here. Caregivers, they don't know how to ask for help, because they don't want to feel indebted. And so they don't ask for help. And so they try to do it all themselves. There's a lot of it's a pride thing. I can do it myself, like a 2-year-old. I do it myself. But they can't, or they're going to end up needing a caregiver as well. 30% of them actually die before their loved ones do. Wow. And, they don't know how to put their needs first, take care of their needs before they take care of the other needs. Put your oxygen mask on first. So when you talk about how to never be disappointed in people ever again, I don't know, Adrienne, how would you connect that to a caregiver? Are caregivers disappointed in people?
I think caregivers are disappointed that people don't step up voluntarily and sort of fall away. Whereas I feel like caregivers should ask.
That's right. They expect other people to think the way a caregiver thinks, right?
Yeah. It used to bother me when people would meet me on the street and they'd say, "How's Steve?" They wouldn't ask how I was doing. Immediately go to the
chopped liver.
I would call that to their attention once I was aware of what was going on. As I started my caregiver's journey, awareness journey.
Sure. So how can that chapter of your book, Keyonna, help these caregivers who are disappointed in people for not doing things that they want them to do, not necessarily, the sins of omission, but it's sins of commission. I might have said that backwards, but I don't know.
Well, so I call it unrealistic expectations of people.
Yeah.
So we have unrealistic expectations, and we just expect people, as Adrian was saying, expect them to see it from our perspective or our point of view instead of putting ourselves in the other people's shoes. I just had a conversation with someone this morning about that. I look at both parties. There's facts on each side. So it's not that this person is wrong, that person is right. It all depends on the situation, and that needs to be considered. People need to understand everybody does not think like them. And so every response will not be what they think. So now that is a process and a practice for people to never be disappointed again. Because if you're at the point where you say, hey, I said this and it has to go this way, you're not open to changing to look at it from somebody else's perspective, then you're going to continue to get disappointed. Period.
You're setting yourself up to be disappointed.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
When it's that, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and husbands and wives. So especially, if you're a husband caregiving to your wife or vice versa, then you've just magnified the problems because spouses, are always, I heard a saying here, let me back up and say, I heard a saying that someone once said that marriage is a 50-50, partnership. And then I heard somebody else say, no, it's not. It's 100%, because if you're doing 50-50, then that means you're keeping score. That means, hey, I'm doing 51%, you're doing 49, I'm getting the short end of the stick. You agree with that?
I do agree with it. That was another conversation I had with someone last night. We're just revisiting these conversations. I told them
I have your house bugged, the National Security Council.
I said 2 halves don't make a whole, and they was like, actually 2 halves do make a whole. I said, not in a relationship. Two people have to come to the relationship whole. And everything else, yes, 2 halves is a whole, but not when it comes to people. If I bring my baggage, the damage, the hurt, and the pain, I'm broken, you bring that. We're two broken people coming together, and it's going to be a disaster.
Yeah, and this way, if you stop keeping score, if I'm giving 100%, I'm not going to know if it's 50 or 75 or, if I'm short, because I'm giving 100. I'm not worried what she's giving because I know she's supposed to be giving 100. Maybe she's not giving 100. Maybe I'm not giving 100. But we're not keeping score. All we know is we're both doing our best. Whereas I'm going to limit mine at 50%, and then I'm going to pull back, because it's your turn now. You wait on me. Hey, I got you water last night. Now you got to get me, you rub my feet, whatever. And there's actually people out there couples who are doing that, Some of them, amazingly, have been married 50, 60, 70 years, and they're like that. I don't know how they stay together because it seems like they fight every day. But some people have a strange way of showing love, don't they, Adrian?
Yes. Fighting is a form of passion, that's for sure.
And crying is the same emotion as laughing. Sometimes I laugh so that I don't cry. Well, This is good stuff. Maybe we should do a rap song to these words. It would be a #1 bestseller. Why surround yourself with like-minded people? Why is that so important? Isn't it better to have, opposites attract and won't we be bored? I mean, there was a Seinfeld episode one time. Jerry thought that he found the perfect date. And then he realized that she was identical to him. They liked the same things. They hated the same things. And after a while, it freaked him out. He says, I don't want to be married to me.
Can two walk together if they don't agree?
I guess they can.
Yeah.
It would be at odds. And so it's not, the like-mindedness is not about, I like purple and you have to like purple. It's more of ultimately, you guys have to be on the same path and understanding. Just like, for instance, if you take up the mindset, and so that's why it's about the mind. A mindset of an employee and an entrepreneur is different. I can't talk to employees the way that I would talk to another entrepreneur because they just don't get it. They don't get it. And so then it becomes a debate, and then it becomes this and that. And so when speaking of like-mindedness, it's more on that. Not that we have to agree about everything, but if we don't see things similarly or on the same path, especially, and it depends on the relationship and the connection too. So partnerships, you guys have to be on the same path. I'm going through something right now in business, and another business that I have with a partnership. We don't have the same vision for executing and continuing in this business. And now it's like, well, what do we do? Yeah, what do we do? We have this amazing product. We have potential, some people who are highly interested in this product. But as far as like marketing and the execution, we're not on the same page, and it's just caused a lot of friction. And so now we're in discussions on dissolving and pulling out. And so yeah, you just have to be on the same page. So that's,
and especially now, this country is divided on everything. We had a president that he was accused of dividing, but you know what? The media is dividing, and both sides are dividing. And anytime, especially racially, sexually, racially, every single thing is dividing us. We can't go to a football game or a baseball game without somebody either standing up for the national anthem or not standing up or taking a knee, and that divides us. And then the racial thing, it's Martin Luther King said, I have a dream, that little babies would, work together, whatever it is he said, that it wouldn't matter the color of their skin, but the content of their heart. But it seems like they're preaching that racially the opposite. No, it's all about color. It's all about skin. It's all about, past reparations. Did I say that word right?
Yes.
All this stuff. And I don't know about anybody else, but all the blacks in my sphere of influence, we get along just great. I'm a Christian. Many of them, half the churches seems like it's a black where we go. It's an interracial church. And this is all foreign to me. I mean, who are they talking to? Who are they talking about? So I don't get that. What's your opinion on the division?
Me or Adrian?
You. I already know how Adrian feels.
That's been something, and especially in families, which is really crazy. I have a family member right now, their sibling twin is suing them. Their twin is suing them.
Yeah, I think I saw them on People's Court.
And really right now in families, and it's like, what is it? What is this? What's the competition? One thing I've noticed, there's a lot of me. Yes, we put on our mask first, but the world does not revolve around people individually. And I've been running into a lot of people, or encountering a lot of people. I'm listening to them, and it's me. What about me? And no, I'm not talking about that person. I'm talking about me. And I'm like, no, it's a we. It's not just about you. What about that other person? Uh-huh. So it's just the selfishness, or the word that's floating around now, the narcissism, when it comes to people. Lovers of self is what the Bible says. In the last days, we're in them. People become lovers of self. Yes.
That is for sure. Speaking about self and self-love and self-care, caregivers don't take care of themselves. How can these caregivers, by the way, I don't know if you were ever a caregiver or not, but how can caregivers find the time to take out for themselves and do things just for them? Be selfish, because they're so selfless that just bringing the pendulum all the way to selfless might just put them in the middle. You know what I mean?
But it's not selfish to make sure that if you're lying on your back, you can't help anyone. So you need to make sure you're healthy. That's really unselfish. You're making sure that you're healthy so you can be 100% and available to help other people. Because, if you're not, you can't help anyone. If you're 6 feet under your body, you can't help anyone. So I've noticed some work. I've been around some workaholics too, and I understand they provide for different people, but you have to stop. Go get a massage, read, meditate, walk. I mean, that's another different people have different ways of doing that.
You're
But
talking my language, yeah.
yeah, the caregivers, they have to take out at least a day out the week. Have someone else come in where they can go and relax, and whatever that looks like to them. Again, a massage, a walk, reading, shopping, whatever
Even
that looks
15
like.
minutes at Starbucks, whatever, or a
And well, yeah,
20-minute Calgon take me away bath, you know.
yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, the bath, soak in a bath, bubble bath, and yeah, just
Yeah.
relax. You have to recharge.
But listen, we're going to take another break, so we'll be right back. Don't go away.
Our featured speaker is a best-selling author who has written numerous books and articles. He's a speaker, life coach, and host of Dave the Caregiver's Caregiver radio program. He frequently appears on television and radio shows all across the country and has even shared the stage with Suzanne Summers at Harvard. But his most important role is caregiver to his beautiful wife Charlene for over 22 years. Please welcome Mr. Dave
Nasani! I want to share with you a love story. In a couple of weeks, my wife and I will be celebrating 44 years of being together. My wife Charlene and I had a fairy tale, storybook, romance, courtship, and marriage for the first 21 years of our lives together. One day, out of nowhere, my wife has a headache, the headache of her life. She suffered a massive stroke, and it left her severely speech impaired and paralyzed on the right side. And in that moment, our world turned upside down. I got to tell you, the next 2 years was like a living hell. I just didn't know what to do. I felt guilty most of the time. I became a caregiver. I didn't even know what a caregiver was. I was experiencing the same problems that other caregivers experience. If you don't take care of you, I can't take care of her. Well, that's why I wrote the book. Now I can teach other caregivers. I'm living proof that you can thrive as a caregiver. My wife and I travel now all over the world sharing our story. One day, life is going to call upon you to be the captain of your boat. Heck, you might be saving your own life. Thank you. And we're back on the Caregiver Dave Show. I'm Dave Nasani. We have Keyonna Cox here, author extraordinaire, Adrian Gruberg, my co-host. So we were talking about self-care and why you need to take time out for yourself, because 30% of you guys are dying, and we're trying to lower that number, because if you don't put your oxygen mask on first, you're both going down. Sorry. So you talk about deciding what your motives and reasonings behind caregiving is. Many people become caregivers for many different reasons, right, Adrian? Some do it
Absolutely.
for genuine good reasons, you know, and others do it out of guilt. Some do it out of obligation. Some do it because there's nobody else to do it. And what do you think, Adrian? What did I miss? Some reasons, some motivations?
The negative motivations? No, I think you were right on.
Yeah. And what are some good positive motivations? Just wanting to help, wanting to be there. Maybe they were there for them. You know, maybe it's a parent.
Well, love has a lot to do with it.
Love. It's all about love, isn't it?
I-
So, Keyonna, what motives or reasoning do you believe is going on with caregiving, and what can we learn? Is it okay to do it for the wrong motives, or do you think we should straighten our motivation and do it for the right motives? Or is it better than nothing? You know, what should we settle for?
We shouldn't settle. We should do it for the right motives, because if you're doing something that you really don't want to do, you're not going to be 100% in it, and you'll eventually quit, or you will abuse the situation or the person because you're really not wanting to be there. So why?
I sure wouldn't want someone taking care of me if they didn't want to be there. I'd say, hey, here's the door. You know, I'll find somebody else. I'd rather have a stranger in and pay them than have a family member who resents it. And that's why I got long-term care insurance, which everyone should get in your 50s, 40s, 50s, when it's still cheap. Because I don't want to burden my kids, you know, even though I kept telling my daughters as they were growing up, now one day you're going to have to change my diaper. Have we missed talking about anything? Is there something that you wanted to talk about that we did not cover yet and then I'll ask the
Yes.
audience how they can get in touch with you.
Yes. We talked about the books, and that's a part of the multimedia company, which is the books and first phase. Second phase of that, you talked about a movie on you. So turning these books into film is our second phase. So a production company, documentaries, docuseries based on a true story. Third phase of that is a digital cable TV network. But what's priority right now, we're doing that. The book will be released in fall. We pushed it back. Initially, it was going to be late spring, June.
Yeah, my book's
But
late
now,
too.
yeah, so, but COVID is opening, so we're doing a book launch and an event, and so really interesting. What the priority right now for me, it's a project that I've been working on for 10 years. The Unpacked Baggage started from me losing everything. I lost everything, my home, I mean, you name it, business downside, everything. And so I started unpacking my bags there, but also in that I was doing research. And fast forwarding now, 10, 12 years later, finally launching, it's called Rebuild Cities. We're starting in the Los Angeles County and Las Vegas Valley, which I'm actually in Las Vegas. You mentioned Las Vegas. I'm in Las Vegas right now.
Wow.
So I've been back and forth LA and Vegas for the past 3 months now, getting this together. But Rebuild Cities, which it's a social enterprise, it's which most people aren't familiar with that term, but the short of it, it's a hybrid of a nonprofit and a for-profit. So, and it's cause related. And housing is first. So people are losing homes, people are getting evicted, and where do you go for that? If you have the money, you've gotten evicted, but now your credit is messed up, so you can't qualify. So Rebuild Cities, we're coming in, acquiring real estate. Again, we're starting in these 2 regions, but we will expand throughout, and helping with housing first, but there's employment assistance, transportation, spiritual, counseling, therapists will be involved. I mean, it's a full service. It's not just, oh yeah, we're going to put someone in a house and leave them. No, there's a process. There's an intake process. There's a weekly check-in. I don't like to call it a program. It's a process. Yes.
Yeah, we're both entrepreneurs. Did you say something, Adrian?
I wanted to know what the name of it was.
It's called Rebuild Cities.
Mm-hmm.
Rebuild Cities.
Rebuild Cities. So we're helping to rebuild the people, rebuild hope and the economy. Because it's the people. People help to rebuild the economy. It's not just having jobs available. It's having people available to be able to fulfill those jobs or fill those positions, which will help the economies grow. And they're community focused. And not to say you guys are in New York, if you guys wanted to donate in Las Vegas or Los Angeles, we would turn your way, but we're really focused on community, the communities getting involved because the resources are in each community, contrary to popular belief.
We're both entrepreneurs, and so we have a different mindset than poor people. I remember Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He says, I had poor parents and I had an adopted rich parents, and they both thought differently. One says, no, you got to get a job, you got to get an education. The other one says, no, you got to start your own business, And there's a lot of poor. There's an epidemic of poor, right? The rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer. The middle class is disappearing. And that's all because of globalism and all sorts of things that the powers that be are taking this country. And I just think that there needs to be less handouts and more teach them how to run a business. I mean, this is America, right? It is still the land of opportunity, right? You can still make a living by setting up shop on a corner. There's lots of empty buildings. We know that because of all the riots last summer. But what is the solution, and how can poor people, because it sounds like you're helping them out, right? Because in 2008 I lost everything, or I almost lost everything, and I especially lost my credit, and so it's very difficult, I found, to get a loan or to even get a credit card when you have bad credit. And fortunately 7 years later you get a fresh slate, you can start all over again. But if somebody's there, and I had a partner who had good credit, and we were able to buy a piece of property, and so yeah, it really helps to have a helping hand. Now, some people say, well, entrepreneurs are not born, they're raised. It takes a special skill. Some people, can't be entrepreneurs because they just want the security of a paycheck, because when you become an entrepreneur, there's risk involved. There's no guarantee that your business is going to succeed. In fact, 95% of businesses fail in their first 5 years, but a lot of them are doing the wrong thing. So comment on all of that, the difference between getting a job or starting a business.
So it all goes back to the mindset. Poverty is a mindset.
It is.
You can have two people grow up in the same neighborhood, and one makes it out and the other one stays. Why is that? It's a mindset. This other one was feeding himself, being exposed to other things that the other one wasn't, as to why you have this limited mindset. So there's limitations in the mindset. Even with some people who have money, you can have people with a lot of money, but because they grew up in poverty, they're holding on to it because they're afraid. So that's still a poverty mindset.
Yeah. It's like you can either cook somebody a fish and give it to him and he ate it and you fed him one time, or you can teach him how to.
You can teach him how to fish.
Teach him how to fish. Get the rod and pull him out of the water. Yeah. Don't just go and buy the fish.
But that's what goes. Yeah, back to what you're saying about just handing out money. That's not the solution. The stimulus checks, giving people what is that doing? That's not solving anything.
And what can $700 do? I mean, even if it was $2,000, that's gone, boom, like that. And they call it helicopter money. I just wish these sheep, because that's what they are. Sheep are dumb animals who follow whoever's leading. And there's a lot of politicians who are not really nice, and so we just got to get out of that mindset. I don't want to make enemies on this show. I don't want to be canceled. I got to watch what I say, but we just need to, as Rodney King, to quote his famous words, "Can't we all just get along?" Well, I can't believe how fast this hour has gone again. Time flies when you're having fun, and again, your website and your email, if someone wants to get a hold of you, Keyonna?
Yes, so for the book, unpackbaggage.com is the website for the book. For Rebuild Cities, it's rebuild-cities.com. And the best way to get in contact with me is on LinkedIn, Keyonna Casey Cox, and that's the letter K and C in the middle of my first and last initial. Last name, excuse me.
And Adrienne.
Adrienne, thecaregiverspace.org.
So it's thecaregiverspace.org, and then Adrienne at thecaregiverspace.org if you want to get a hold of her. It's simple, caregiverdave.com. Like it says, we got free gifts for you. We got all of these podcasts and radio shows and webinars and videocasts all in one spot. So thank you all for coming on the show. We appreciate it. We'll see you again next time, same channel. Bye-bye.
Sometimes it feels like the sun will never rise, like the birds will never sing.